Welcome to another round of Salty Takeaways and Bitter Ends, and I know that we've got some of those after the 1-1 draw with Atlanta United and Toronto FC for the regular season home finale. Jarrett there, Jon here, and Jarrett, I'm just going to go ahead and toss it to you because I know that you were in the post-game interview opportunity with Gonzalo Pineda and a couple of players. What were some of your big takeaways from coach and the players after the 1-1 draw?
And it's just frustrating, and I think that's the thing that is going to keep coming up is everybody's frustrated. Of course they are. Fans are frustrated. I'm sure the comments are going to be frustrated when we get to those at the end of this Salty Takeaway, bitterness, whatever you want to parting shot yeah. Fire across the bow, man.
Yes.
Everybody's frustrated. Nobody goes out there, like trying to score early, create a ton of chances, and then not do anything with them. Like it's not a game plan for really anybody. But unfortunately, it's kind of this is something Miles Robinson talked about as well. As it's just kind of been a thing that they've done this year, and it sucks. Like it's not like I said, no one's trying to do that. It's just kind of been the way it's gone. I don't know what else. I mean, it's just bad. It's frustrating for them because especially when you look at a situation like tonight where you created God knows how many chances if you're Atlanta United. You're creating chances left and right and center and backwards. Hell, the only goal you got was because of a goalkeeper goof, and it was very frustrating to watch because, and at the same time, it was also very entertaining to watch because you get to see some really impressive, moments of creation. None of them paid off, so whatever. It's like I said, I guess all you're left with is just frustration about it all, and players feel that way, coach feels that way, and the bottom line is, you remember with the Atari? Apparently, you could like flip that little switch and make the paddle smaller for Pong.
Yes,
and make it more difficult. That is exactly what Atlanta United has done here. They have taken the paddles and they have made them smaller for themselves. They have taken the path of most resistance because they can. I believe, and we'll have to confirm this. I believe that if they win against Red Bulls, they're in the playoffs.
Right now,
they have decided to make this as difficult as humanly possible on themselves.
Yep, and we'll get into the standings as they stand after the end of the evening in MLS, specifically in the Eastern Conference. Let's take a look at the numbers for the game. Atlanta United 58-42 in possession. Total shots 19-11 for Atlanta United. 8 of Toronto FC's shots were on target, only 4 for Atlanta United. 8 blocks for Atlanta United to the 1 for TFC. 8 corners on the day for the 1 to TFC. 11 fouls to only 7 for TFC. 2 yellows for TFC. 1 for Atlanta United. 4 big chances for Atlanta United. 3 of them missed. And you go into the passing game, obviously, with the time of possession that Atlanta United had. 87% effectiveness, 513 of 588. Half of their long balls were completed, 23 of 46, only 4 of 18 crosses. For Toronto FC, 344 of 423 at 81%. 49% of their long balls, 25 of 51, and only 1 of 9 in crosses. Atlanta United, 11 of 20 on dribbles. And the duels, this is the interesting number here for your duels. 42 of 76 won by Toronto FC. So 53-47-ish percentage-wise won by Toronto FC, although Atlanta did win 8 of 15 that were in the air. Looking at the numbers, courtesy of our friends at SofaScore on the day, dead even across the board, 688 to 687. Brad Gazan net a 7.7. Also 7s on the board for a 7.5 for Marcelino Moreno, 7 2s for Brooks Lennon and Luis Araujo, 6s for Miles Robinson, a 6.5, 6.8 for Alan Franco and Ezequiel Barco, 6.7 for George Bello, 6.9 for Mateus Asetiu and Anton Walks. Joseph Martinez, a 5.9 on the day. When you go through SofaScore's numbers, it was 2 shots on target, 2 off target, 1 blocked, 3 big chances missed for Joseph. 39 touches on the day, 27 of 30 on his accurate passes, 4 times possession lost, and a clearance. So that's the numbers for Atlanta United. Toronto came out with a lineup, understandably rotated a bit because of what's going on with them in the Canadian Championship in the midweek. Westberg in net, back line of Marshall Ruddy, Julian Dunn, Omar Gonzalez, and the retiring Justin Morrow. Your midfield, Nick DeLeon, Noble Okello, and Jaden Nelson, and Alejandro Pozuelo playing in front of them. Patrick Mullins and Josie Altidore, your two up top. So that was your lineups going in for Atlanta United when it came to substitutions. Only one was made, Jake Mulroney for Marcelino Moreno in the 77th, and Jake did provide some much-needed energy there with 13 minutes to go. He punched a 6.4. Now, after the match is over and everything in the East is done, currently as things stand, Jarrett, you're looking at New England at 73 points with one match to go. Nashville at 52 points with 2 to go. New York City and Philadelphia. New York City has one match remaining after playing today and knocking off Inter Miami. They have one match to go. They're at 50 points. Philadelphia is 2 matches to go at 50 points. Everyone with 50 points and higher has clinched playoff positions as of right now. 47 points. Atlanta United actually finishes the day in better position than when they started. They're in 5th at 47 points, a goal difference of +7. That may come in handy down the line. Orlando City, 2 matches to go, 47 points. Identical record to Atlanta United at 12, 11, and 9, but goal difference 0 for Orlando City, 7 for Atlanta United. 46 points for Red Bulls. Big win for Columbus to draw them even with DC United at 44 points, but they only have one match remaining. Montreal with 2 matches remaining. They're at 43 points. Everybody else is done. Inter Miami, 1 match to go at 38. Chicago, 1 match to go at 34. Toronto, 1 match to go at 28 on decision day. Cincinnati, 2 matches to go. They're at 20 points, 4 wins on the season. So, Jarrett, let's just get right into what folks were thinking after the match, and trust me, there were some salt here. So let me get in. Them. Yeah, and let me start with Gustavo, and Ola Gustavo, and Gustavo decided to take an interesting tack when it came to describing the match today. He says AC/DC knows Atlanta United. The opening minutes were thunderstruck. The goal was a shot in the dark. After the goal was "Are you ready?" Most of the first half touched too much. The opening of the second half, it's a long way to the top. After 20 minutes of the second half, hard as a rock. The goal against us, who made who? And the ending minutes, code red. So Gustavo goes 8 deep into the AC/DC catalog to describe the action today at Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah, I mean it's a reoccurring theme. The players talked about this too. It's a reoccurring theme of just the inability to put the game away. It's there to do it, and they just can't seem to do it. That's frustrating because they get the opportunities. You know, we're talking about it going down the elevator. It felt like Atlanta should have had 3 or 4 goals at least, maybe more.
It did.
And then you give up a goal on basically a ball that the set piece is cleared, and then the ball comes right back in. He's onside by less than an inch. It feels like he's onside. Like it's not like I don't think they missed it by any means, but it's there, and then you just didn't do the job, and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
Like I said, they have chosen the path of most resistance.
Yes. Not the first time that this has happened this season.
No, not the first time this has happened in the last few years. Remember, they controlled their own. They were I shouldn't say they controlled. They needed help. They got help and were in position to make the playoffs last year and to advance in the MLS's back cup, even though that whole thing was an absolute mess. They were in position. If they had won their games, they'd have taken care of business. We're in this is not the exact same because we're not talking about Atlanta in a win or die situation yet, but if you will take care of business, you'll be okay. But you gotta finish games off. You gotta quit letting teams hang around. Because here's the thing: you let a really not good Toronto team hang around.
Yeah.
The hell do you think is going to happen when you let some of these really good teams in the East hang around?
It could be a different result, and that's just being flat honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I think Atlanta talent-wise is better than this. I think that's what's so frustrating about it.
Yeah,
is they've been better than this. They're capable of being better than this, and it's just not happening right now. So it's frustrating, but it is what it is.
And there are a couple of other points that are along the same vein, so I'll read them all as a group, and then we can discuss. Swixter is going to go ahead and call it and saying that cost Atlanta having any playoff home games.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I agree completely. You're not getting a home game.
Yeah, second game in a week, we conceded a set-piece equalizer after the 85th minute, despite, for the most part, successfully killing the game off. We'd be third right now with second place in play. To say this is frustrating is a gross understatement.
Yep. You're not getting a home game, in my opinion, unless some weird stuff happens. It's just it's just not where you're at right now. That stinks, because if you'd have taken care of, like, you've dropped a lot of points from winning positions, especially at home.
Yes.
If you do any of that right, not only are you, like, in good shape, you're in shape, like, to second or third place, to have a home game. You're clinched, and you're just basically you're just fighting for what home game you want.
Right.
And instead, now you don't have that luxury.
Yeah. Yeah. Jason Wright of the Jason Wright Agency says playing like that won't get a playoff win.
Nope, and it will not.
And Jason Wright is asking, where is the passion and the desire?
I think I think we saw it in the second half. They kind of ran out of gas. And that's why you see Jake Mulroney come on to try and provide some spark, and he did. I mean, Jake creates some opportunities there, but it unfortunately wasn't meant to be. And that's the frustrating part, man. I mean, you feel like it's there, and then you think, okay, we got to make a change. We do. We get the energy back, and then you give it up. And Gonzalo Pineda was defensive about this, and I understand why. Where there were questions to him about, well, are you going to be attacking, or how do you close games out? Do you get defensive and basically shut up shop? Oh, well, what about last time you did that? What about this time you decided to keep going in the attack? He is going to apparently be damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. And there's going to be criticism no matter what, and he understands that. And I think there is some frustration with that part of it. But you did what you thought you needed to do, because I don't know about y'all. It never felt to me like Atlanta was out of control of that game.
Right.
Like there were, maybe 5-10 minutes in
there was
half
the time in the
Toronto,
60s, yeah,
where Toronto makes changes, and they're just kind of making some changes to the game, and Atlanta's trying to figure out how they're going to deal with it. A couple of moments like that, but it never felt like Atlanta was out of control of that game, and that's the part that really gets you pissed off.
The airborne
DJ, it wasn't like it was an easy game.
No.
It wasn't like easy. It wasn't like it was an even game.
Right.
Even in terms of like the play on the field.
Yeah.
And then oh man, you got your goal, and then it was tight, and then you gave up a goal. No, this is the thing where not everything is created equally, because Toronto created, I think, 8 shots, or 4 or 5, 6, 8, 7, 8 shots on goal.
But they were from
distance. A chunk of them were like ground balls to Brad Guzan, that Ron Washington is hitting to his infielders before a game.
Yeah, they were fun.
These weren't amazing wild shots where Brad Guzan is standing on his head. No. There's shots on goal can be a really interesting stat when you want to break it down, because not every shot, and this is the case in every stat, not every stat is created equally. Every shot on goal is created equally. You can have 20 shots on goal if you're just hitting a bunch of ground balls right to the keeper.
Tom Russo, the airborne DJ, says the team has no heart, no guts, no leadership. Hopefully Pineda can install some of that in the offseason. The season is a pathetic waste.
That seems intense.
That's overreaction Monday material.
That is. Justin Martinez almost fought someone in the stands, so I think he's got some heart.
And I'll get into that with a subsequent tweet here now that we're on that. Nick Lamphere, his second point, and I'll leave his first point for the next go around. Nick Lamphere says to the fan, and he puts that in quotation marks, that was heckling and confronting Joseph at the end of the match, I believe you got lost on your way to Orlando. I'm as frustrated as anyone, but that is trash behavior.
Yeah, it was, because now you have this thing where Atlanta United players are going around after the game applauding the fans, and this was, I feel like this was a criticism the last parts of this year, and and something that was really welcomed by people when Atlanta United fans or Atlanta United players are walking around and applauding the fans. If you want them to do that, don't try and fight them. I understand frustration, man.
No,
Don't try and square up with a soccer player.
No,
don't try and square up with a pro
if
athlete.
you're looking for heart and
that's a bad
passion,
idea.
yeah, if you're looking for heart and passion, all you have to do is look at Joseph and what he's gone through in the last 18 months, and that should tell you everything.
Not to square up with any pro athlete, actually. To be honest.
No, right. The other element from Nick says he's furious after the result, a complete lack of urgency in the second half. And I think that you and I were discussing the idea that they probably hit a wall in the 60th and maybe some substitutions could have helped push the game forward to get that second goal and put the match away. Nick thinks that Atlanta United got completely complacent, thinks the TFC posed no threat. I don't know what the fix is, but this is a recurring theme of dropping late points, and it's infuriating.
Well, and so here's the question with that, because this is a question I would pose to people about that, because I thought about that as well. If, let's say, you make that change with Mulroney, how do you address a game like this where you have control of the game? You're not creating the tons of chances in transition, but you're not getting run off the field.
Right.
You have control in the game. Do you make changes that might risk losing control of that game?
True.
Or do you do you just kind of ride out with what you got, maybe make minor changes? I honestly don't know. I think everybody would think about it differently, and I think that's what's cool about it, is everyone's going to have a different opinion on the matter. Because I don't know what the answer is, honestly.
And which leads us into Kerry Smith on Twitter, wishing that Atlanta United would play two center backs. The three center backs in the back is not protecting leads.
That's actually a point that I think was discussed after the game by a couple people. Why are we not? Do we need to see them go with a 4-2-3-1 kind of look with two center backs, and you put somebody on the bench at that point? Is that something we're going to see? Good question.
Well, yeah, and I think that the formation change that we saw at halftime against Inter Miami, when it was pretty much realized that they were no threat, that Inter Miami, had a couple of moments where the field was stretched and you'd have things in transition, but you were pretty much taking advantage of the play out there. And I think that the formation change, when you were down 1-0, you changed formations, you worked some substitutions, and then you were on the front foot and got the two goals that got the win. I think that there are some times when, if the team that you're playing really doesn't want the ball or isn't having a whole lot of success with the ball, then I could understand going from three center backs to two in a situation like that. But it's a case-by-case basis, I would think. Yeah,
it's going to be case by case. It's going to be a matter of who's healthy, I think. But it's an interesting question. I'll disagree on the fact that I don't think they have heart. I mean, I think they've got heart.
Question. Absolutely.
It's right now you've created this issue where you're just not closing games out.
Mm-hmm.
That absolutely sucks, and it's really frustrating.
Yes.
I don't know how you fix it straight up. So,
where was the number? I thought I saw it in here somewhere. Someone was mentioning the number of points that they thought Atlanta had given up in matches. Okay, Jake Michaels.
That's a lot.
It's
a frustrating amount.
Right. Jake Michaels said the team has a weak mentality. Dropped 18 points from winning positions this year. It's soft and embarrassing. Mike and Jason ran the numbers on the full-time report, and it's only 13. I know that's still a lot. They dropped 13 points from winning positions, but they've also gained 7 from losing positions. So what you're looking at is a +6 or a -6 in situations where you're trailing or you're trying to fight for points. And I know that if you take those 6 points in the difference, that if you were to add that, you'd be in second right now with 53 points. Nashville would be 1 point behind you at 52. So, Jay, it is an understandable point. It's only 13 points from winning positions, but a weak mentality, I would challenge that as well.
Yeah, but that's going to be part of the argument, I think, for people, is a matter of you've gotten some points from from losing positions, I think you ask most people, given the way it's played out, they'll take the trade and like, give me the points from winning positions, because this is a team that traditionally has closed games out, and it's very frustrating that they're not doing it right now. And you've watched at this point a chance to host a playoff game pretty much go down the drain. I think you can still technically do it, but you're going to need help, and you're going to need help from some weird ass places like Houston winning on the road, which hasn't happened since like Lyndon B. Johnson was the president of the United States of America.
Yeah, Lady Bird. Obviously, you would have to, and I know that we all were kind of looking at 7 points being the marker for these last 3 matches. Once again, you've got your 1. Now you need to get 3 in Harrison, New Jersey, and then get the 3 that we're all anticipating that you would get against a team in FC Cincinnati that's only 1-4. Once again, your order is different now in trying to get that 7 points that we thought, but with all of the effort that you invested in this one and you only get 1 point out of it, it means that you're going to have to work that much harder in the midweek, and you don't know how many minutes you're going to have with Joseph. You don't know what the lineup's going to look like, and you're going to have to look for as good a result as possible and not lose any more traction from where you are currently, because right now you're looking at 6 teams going for 3 spots separated by 4 points, but 2 of them, and they're 2 below the playoff bar, have only 1 match to go, and they are 3 points behind you. Both teams are 3 points behind you. So there's some wiggle room here when it comes to positioning. I'm fairly confident that Atlanta United will make the postseason, but the order is what is now in dispute because of not getting 3 points and only getting 1 for the home finale.
Yeah, and what's really frustrating about it is there is a bit of a good side in that results have been going your way. Columbus beat the dog out of a DC team that's fading.
Mm-hmm.
Orlando plays tomorrow. Orlando's in a weird spot because they've got a tough schedule. Atlanta has a tough schedule in the sense that you have to go to New Jersey to play Red Bulls, and then you go to Cincinnati. Problem is, you don't want to go to Cincinnati knowing you need 3 points. You really don't want to have to go to Cincinnati in 3 points or else situation. You might be in that situation depending on how things go. The frustrating part is, and you can sit here and think, well, at least a bunch of games didn't go against you in terms of other games' results have been favorable. Yeah, because then if you'd have gotten your 3 points, you'd have been already locking up a playoff spot if you'd have taken care of business. But unfortunately, you haven't. So now you have chosen to shrink the paddles on the game of Pong here.
What we're looking at the moment, and this is the earliest of early juice boxes for action in the midweek. And remember that you have some wonky games, wonky days for games.
Are we putting Thanksgiving sides on this going forward? By the time we start discussing this?
No, because they're in November, and they're in November. So I think your Thanksgiving sides. Cool. You believe it or not, you've got a game in the West you've got the 4 games on Sunday. Minnesota Sporting, Houston, Colorado, Orlando City, Nashville is the one that a lot of folks will be looking at in the Atlanta United footprint. 4:00, and it's on 2 to NA. Orlando City's a plus 118 at home. Nashville is a plus 237. Your draw is a plus 238. We already gave our juice boxes and our Halloween candy for that because that's on Halloween. Philadelphia and Cincinnati are at 7:30. Philadelphia, understandably, is a large favorite at minus 345. You've got a Western Conference game on Monday. Seattle hosting Galaxy. You've got a Western
at 10 o'clock at night. Godspeed, all of you. Let's watch it together on Discord because we can make a sicko's room for just for this if you'd like.
And then on Tuesday in the West at 10:30, you have Vancouver at LAFC. So leading into the midweek on Wednesday, where Houston goes to Montreal. Montreal right now is a minus 130. Houston is north of plus 305. Red Bulls at 7:30. So both of these games are at 7:30 Eastern in the midweek. Red Bulls a minus 141 at home. Draws a plus 265. Atlanta United is a plus 368. And these are just the ones because these teams have completed games that the Thanksgiving treats are involved here, your Thanksgiving dishes. Austin and Sporting is at 9 o'clock Eastern. RSL and Portland is at 10 o'clock Eastern. So as games are completed, then the new round of Thanksgiving juice boxes are introduced. But right now, CF Montreal is a minus 130 favorite for match number 33. If they were to win that, they go to 46 points. Atlanta United's at 47. Houston wins, then CF Montreal is in serious trouble. Depending on the Red Bulls result, they could be eliminated completely. If Red Bulls don't win, they stay at 46, Atlanta United. So once again, this is math, and there's going to be a lot of it between now and then. But obviously, right now, as things stand, CF Montreal minus 130 at Stade Saputo in the midweek. Red Bulls minus 141. Atlanta's basically at plus 370 in the midweek. So, I mean, that's where we are right now. Yes, there's a lot of math involved, and yes, there's a lot of pulling out of hair, and that's why I don't have a whole lot left anymore because of looking at the table and all that kind of stuff. So it's a really interesting run. Dimitar Rusinov on Twitter says maybe it's a blessing in disguise. Atlanta won at Toronto not that long ago. Of course, the teams in playoff positions are stronger, but still. So maybe Dimitar, Mr. Rusinov, is thinking perhaps that Atlanta, away from home with road form that what we've seen, you're going up against one of the tougher sides in Red Bulls, but, with your run of form that you've had under Gonzalo Pineda. And that was the other thing that I don't have the number for, and I'd like that to be investigated as a part of the dropped points, gained points. How many of the dropped points were under Gabriel Heinze, and how many of the dropped points and or gained points were in Rob Valentino and Gonzalo Pineda? So that would be what I would be looking at is the different coaching staffs and when those points were gained or lost too, just to have that information handy, Jared.
Well, I can tell you that the four most prominent ones were two of each, because you had the Philadelphia and who the hell else was it?
Was it Nashville?
Nashville under Gonzalo Pineda. Under Gabriel Heinze. And then you had the New York City game, and now this. So that's 8 points right there. And what kills you, what absolutely cuts you open, is 3 of those 4 games are against teams that you are locked in a cage with in a cage fight.
Yeah.
Toronto don't matter. Toronto's just here to screw up people's day. It's what they do. But you lost that chance against a New York City team. You lost that chance against Nashville. You lost that chance against Philadelphia. That's not just saying, hey, that's 8 points going back to Atlanta. There are point swings here of you went from having 3 points, them having no points, to 1 and 1 each. Like, when you add those points back, you also got to take 2 points away, or take a point away from their total. So, I mean, there is the ladder moves in 2 directions, so to speak.
Yeah. And the last point on Twitter is made by at NickaJack88. Old Jack the Nick says, I spent the entire game at CarMax trying to buy a Kia Forte. I bought that Forte. Feels like I was at the game. Sounds like
Hopefully
a long
you didn't
day.
Get fouled.
Yeah,
yeah.
really?
It does sound like a long day. The last time I bought a car was on Carvana, and that was back. God, dude, that was 2014. That car's gonna fall apart.
Well, I could say some stuff about the big dog, considering that I bought it 10 months ago and have invested a fair amount of money since then after buying said automobile.
Yep.
But I'm not gonna.
Oh, good.
Not gonna say anything.
And I'll tell you though, the Miles Robinson basically said it as well, as just kind of nothing you can do about this except get ready for Wednesday, because you can't feel sorry for yourself.
Mm-mm.
Because Red Bulls don't feel sorry for you. No one else in the league feels sorry for you either. Feeling sorry for yourself will only get you screwed over in terms of your future. So go ahead and just take care of business. How about that?
Yeah. Form for Red Bulls in the last 5, they are the most points in the last 5 games for any team in the Eastern Conference. 12 points in their last 5, 4 wins and a loss. Going back 10 matches, they are second in form. 7 wins in their last 10, 2 draws and a loss. So in their last 10 matches, they have 23 points. And in their last 15 matches, they are 8-3-4, 27 points in 15 matches. But going back 15 matches, there are 2 teams above Red Bulls in form. One is New England, 36 points in their last 15 matches, and the other team has 32 points in their last 15 matches, 10 wins, 2 draws, 3 losses, and that's Atlanta United.
You just got to finish strong at this point. They said you can't feel sorry for yourself because no one else will either. You're going to have to learn from these things at some point because if you do get into the playoffs and you do these sorts of things, your playoff run will be very short. Now, granted, where you were in the middle of the season, it feels awesome to have been involved in a playoff chase because there was a time where it kind of felt like, hey, we might not be there this year. This doesn't feel great. Look, and honestly, you could have been higher up at the table. You could have been lower on the table. There's a lot of things that could have gone variably, but you are where you are now, so you have to go take care of business.
One last thing before we go. What did you think about the roof being open for the first half and the misting machine being put on display with the roof open there at MBS?
It felt like being about 600 feet away from Niagara Falls. That's what it looked like anyway. I felt bad for the people who were in the lower levels because I'm sure y'all got a nice misting like you were there or like you were chilling out at Ruby Falls. That was weird. I wonder if the players were like discussing that or requesting it. Very curious because they have a roof for a reason. Maybe they were expecting it to not rain and it just kept raining. I don't know, man. But yeah, it was kind of like I posted a video of it during my game thread of like it just kind of looked like the mist popping off a waterfall from a distance.
And it was very surreal. It was kind of a cool visual, even though you and I were behind glass and got to take a peek at it. It was very cool visual, but a rather interesting visual for that first 45 minutes after they closed the roof for the second 45. So
they should have kept it open.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if it was something where they were trying to see how the players would react with an open roof during the playoffs or anything like that in November. I don't know if it was to get acclimated to November weather or what.
I don't know. Maybe it was luck. When they closed the roof, Atlanta drew. So
yeah,
damn y'all. Keep it open next time.
Keep it open next time. So once again, Overreaction Monday. If we didn't address anything on this particular show, we can do it on Monday morning, 9:05 after Webster on the Superstation. And it will be all of us and all of you talking about the weekend and getting ready for a trip to Harrison, New Jersey in the midweek with Atlanta United in 5th place, 1 point ahead of Red Bulls, who are currently in 7th for a big match in the playoff hunt in the Eastern Conference. So, Jarrett, I will bequeath you the last word for this go-round of Salty Takeaways and Bitter Ends.
Take care, everybody. Coming up next on the Superstation, we've got the Chevy Chase Show, followed by the TV edit of Thelma and Louise. God save you.